Hi guys, okay, so today on Vlogmas day 13, I thought I would do a video on who I am and answer some commonly asked questions that I get asked a whole lot. So my background is that work-wise, I started as a TV actress in the UK. So I was 11 when I started acting. And I started in a TV show called Biker Grove here in the UK, which was a kids TV drama and was really popular at the time. I think we got about 2 million viewers at the height, which isn't astronomical, but actually by today's TV standards it was pretty good, because we didn't have it, there probably wasn't quite as many people with Sky TV and things like that then, so we did actually get a large chunk of the viewers. And I was in that show for 7 years, so I grew up on television, which it was an amazing time, an amazing experience, and I always wanted to be an actress from being really young, and I had no doubts whatsoever that that was happening. So when I got the part, it wasn't a shock to me, it was just like a natural progression to where I wanted to be. So that's where I started, and I left Biker Grove and I signed to Sony. So I signed as a singer, as a solo artist, and I released a single under the name Summer Matthews. So that was a bit confusing for people at the time because people knew me as Holly Matthews, and the reason for it, it's such a long-winded, ridiculous reason. It's not even long-winded, it's just ridiculous. At the time, Holly Valance, who had been in Neighbours, was out, and she had released a single as well, and she was doing some singing. I don't know if you remember it. What did she do? Oh no, was that I can't remember. What did it go like? Kiss Kiss something. I can't remember. I've totally forgotten that song. I should probably thought that. But yeah, so Holly Valance was out at the same time, and she came from a TV show. So my management at the time were like, we need to just distance ourselves from this, you know, even though she was clearly more famous, so we should have definitely been attaching to that, but anyway, we didn't. And so Sony just, yeah, we basically created a name, which was Summer. I don't really know where that came from. I think they asked me loads and I kept going, I kept saying like Harley Matthews, like coming up with like names that basically sounded like Holly so that I wouldn't get confused. But anyway, Summer became what my singing name, and I released a single called Little Miss Perfect. I'm sure I'll try and link up here somewhere me on Top of the Pops or my music video so you can see what it was all about. It doesn't look anything like me now. Like, not that I was fat, I wasn't, I was just young and my face was full. Now I'm all older and my face is aged and I've got a skinnier face. But yes, I did singing, and then after doing singing I continued to do acting. I did TV shows here in the UK, Waterloo Road, The Bill, Doctors, Casualty, just the general rounds of British TV, staple British TV, and something that I proper loved. I love acting, and this is another question that people ask me. Will I ever go back to acting? So I stopped acting when my husband got sick, and I was set, I'd done Casualty. I was then set to do a film. I was set to play a footballer's wife in some film, and when Ross was diagnosed with brain cancer, I just rang my agent and went, that's it. Like, I just didn't care, I didn't want to do anything. Obviously I wanted to be at home, I didn't know what was happening, and I can't see and I'm totally not ruling it out, but the acting business means you go into auditions, it means you go in, as an actor you're very much down the pecking order. Even if you're a fairly good actor, even if you've got a good CV, you're still, you know, there's still like this hierarchy of producers, directors, casting directors, and it's bollocks. And I'm not about hierarchy in people at all. I will treat people as they, you know, as I find them, and I don't believe that any of us are better than the other person. And so I find it really difficult to be in a situation where I'm like, please sir, please can I have a job? Like, fuck off. No. And it's too much happens in my life now. I've been through too much stuff and continue to go through too much stuff that I just can't imagine feeling like I'm begging for work. I'll do it myself. And so it's a weird one, because obviously when you're doing TV and things like that, you do have to go through a certain protocol. And normally that will be, you have your agent and you'll do your auditions, you'll get asked to be called in for that audition. And I just think the world has changed so much. You know, we have YouTube, we have ways and means of being able to create our own work, and I can't imagine now giving my power away like that. So, and I just sort of feel like I've got to an age now, I'm 33, and I go, I can act, I look all right, I've got a good enough CV, and, you know, a decent enough following across social media. If you want me, then ask, and yes, I'll happily audition, but not in a way that's like a cattle market. I just can't imagine going to an audition where I'm like just begging for a job. I just don't, it's not a very nice experience. It's quite demoralizing, and I can't imagine that. That's not that I don't love acting, because I've always loved acting. The reason I love acting is because I love people, and I love how our minds work. And so that took me to the self-development side of my life, and that's where I'm at now. So I'd always done self-development. I've read about 1 million books on self-development and how our minds work and how to be happy, and NLP and life coaching, and yeah, I've read a lot, okay, and I've always have done that because I did it for my own mindset, because as an actor you're bouncing back from rejection all the time. And so I needed to try and safeguard my own mental health, because generally people who are creatives, we're slightly fucked up in some way. There's usually a pain behind the creativity. There's usually a darker side, or a lost soul, or an oddbod, or a weirdo, somebody who feels different to the norm, who's outside of what is expected. And I 100% put myself in that category. Like I was always a weird thinky child. I was a weird adult, and I've for years played the part of what everybody expected. I played that part, and I play it well. I'm an actor, but inside I was like, I don't understand. And sometimes I'm still like that. Sometimes I'm still on the outskirts of what is really normal, and that can be quite an isolating place as well. So that's why I work on my mindset. That's why I work on understanding and letting go and all that stuff. So I always did that. And then when my husband was diagnosed with brain cancer, and I was a new mom, and we went through 6 years, or I mean the last 6 years from Brooke being born, we went through the mill. Like really, if I write it down, it's quite like a lot. You know, when Brooke was born, she was premature, I had preeclampsia, I got sick in the birth, she was in special care for a while, then she got meningitis at 3 months. Then when I was pregnant with Texas, we found out I had an autoimmune disease called antiphospholipid syndrome. It's hard to say. So I had to inject my pregnant stomach with heparin, which is blood thinning injections, every day of the pregnancy. She was early, she was induced. Then Ross was diagnosed with brain cancer, brain surgeries, chemo, radio, depression, breakdowns, the works. We've had it all going on. And so in order for me to be who I am, and to be honest and vulnerable and happy, I really had to dig deep, and I had to learn how to be that way. And so self-development was a natural progression for me, and me becoming a coach and working with people on their mindset, and teaching people the stuff that I've been doing since I was probably 10. I mean, seriously, like I didn't understand what it was at that age, but I was doing affirmations, I was doing meditation at that age. I was a weird kid. I just was a strange little oddbod. I obviously wasn't doing it in front of anybody that I was friends with at school, because I didn't want to be a complete outcast in school. But that's, yeah, so I kept it on the sly. I was like secretly meditating. It's like some like secret, like really weird. But yeah, so I've done it for a long time. So for me, going into self-development and helping other people really isn't weird. It sits very long alongside being an actor. Actors are thinky people. We love how people's brains work. And so it was a natural progression for me then to go into it. And because I needed it myself, and because what happens is when you are that person, and you kind of understand life a little bit more, like something happens to you in life and you go through something tough, you just get it more. And so all of these experiences, as much as they are painful, they will make you a better person. If you're going through something now, you will be better because of it. You'll be more empathetic, more understanding. You will get life more. You'll be stronger. You'll be able to enjoy the good moments more than somebody who's been through nothing. It might seem like they've got it easy and brilliant for them, but is it better? I'm not sure it is. I'm thankful for the struggle. as well, because it makes me appreciate and has made me appreciate the good, which is you know, a strange logic for most people, but it's true. And so now, over the last few years, I have been coaching people one-on-one. I tend to work with female entrepreneurs, but that's changing. That has changed even in the last 6 months. You know, the people that I'm attracting into my world are different. The people who, to me, it's about whether you get my vibe and what I do, and if you do and we gel together, then we can work together. I'm quite selective now who I work with one-on-one, to be honest, because I want to protect my own energy, and I want to work with people that I can really help, and I can really get them to create a life that they love. That's what fascinates me. I want people to, I want you to live a life that you absolutely love. There's nothing that depresses me more than seeing people do things day in, day out for their lives that they hate and they're not happy. That just, I'm like, what are you doing? Why? You've got, do something. Change it, do anything but what you're doing. If it's making you sad, you've got to switch it up. And so if I can be in any way a facilitator and helping them to unlock something within them, because it's ultimately down to them doing that and it's up to you to do it, but if I can help in any way to unlock that, then that to me is my job done, and that's what I want to do. And so I also create online content, because I was aware that I can get to one person one-on-one, but I can get to a way bigger audience speaking to you guys on YouTube, creating online courses. That means that you can just go and do it in your own space, and I can reach more people, and that's important to me because I want people to have a nice life. And so I've created courses over the last few years. The Boss Knit Academy was my first major one, which was a law of attraction, and it's still there, but it's a law of attraction academy that I put together with a psychologist friend of mine. And that was no bullshit law of attraction and how to have a great life. And most recently, and that had, you know, really good press. It was in UK media and had celebrities come through its virtual doors. And then recently, last month was it, I put together the Happy Me project. And the Happy Me project again was an organic creation that I had this new audience from all the press surrounding my husband's death and being in the hospice, and then, you know, just all the new stuff that I've been doing. And everyone was saying to me, how are you so happy? How are you so okay? And first of all, I'm not manically happy. Like, I think you can probably tell that. I'm not like, hey, everything's fine. I'm not like that either. Like, sometimes it's shit. Sometimes life is proper crap. Like, that, I'm not denying that. Sometimes I cry. Sometimes I'm a miserable bitch. Whatever. Like, I'm a human being. But I think my openness and vulnerability and bounce back is what appeals to people. And most people who don't do that go, how do you do that? How do you bounce back? Because on paper you look at my story and you go, wow, that's horrendous. You've been through a lot of stuff and are going through a lot of stuff. And yes, you're right, but it depends the story that you tell. And so I tell a different story to that. That's not my story. I'm not a victim. I've got a good life. That's my story. I feel lucky. Even with everything that's happened, I still feel lucky. And so when I put this course together, it was really an answer to that. It was me going, here is a 21-day course. You get audios, videos, printouts. This is what I do. This is how I am okay. This is how I have a nice life, because I do this stuff. And I wanted it to be simple. I didn't overthink it. It's good. It's proper, basic. This is what you do. It's 30 quid, by the way. If you want to grab it, I'll put the link below. And you can do it online. You do 21 days. It's a kickstart into your positivity. And I put that together because I knew that, one, I wanted the price to be obtainable for most people, and I wanted you to be able to do something basics. I didn't want to be inundated with jobs to do, because that kind of, I just don't think people then finish the course because they feel overwhelmed by it. And most people that are doing something like that are probably going through something and wanting to kind of come out the other side. So I was just very aware of that. So I put that together over the last month, got it out there. It's had an incredible response, and those that are going through it and working through the course and doing the stuff that they need to be doing, they're in a Facebook group, so I get to see how they're getting on. They message me, and I get messages every day of people. I'm on day 9, I'm on day 10. This is what I found. Oh, this thing came up that I wasn't expecting to come up. I found this really difficult, but I feel good now, and this is what I'm doing. And then off the back of that, I decided I was going to get out there and meet you lot and do some workshops. So I'm now doing the Happy Me project. I'm going to call it a tour. It's going to It's going to be a tour. That makes me sound like well rock and roll, and I just think that sounds cool. That's what I'm going with. But I'm going to do some workshops all around the UK. I'm winging it, guys. Seriously, I'm just picking locations and going, okay, let's see if we can do it. That's how I do life. I just jump in with both feet and work it out after. And the fear of not doing it propels me into making it a success. And so that, yeah, so the next one is the 4th of February. It's in Newcastle, mostly because I want to go and see my family and because I've got a lot of followers up in Newcastle as well. So the 4th of February, it's a Sunday, 1 till 4. We're going to work on some positive mindset stuff, and if you want to come along to that, I'll put the link to the tickets below. After that, I'm looking at like Manchester, London, Birmingham, which is close to me still, but I don't know where else. Tell me. I thought Nottingham, maybe. I'd like to go to Scotland, I'd like to go to Wales, but it's all about location. Is there enough people? Is there a good venue? Is it cost effective for me to do that? And yeah, can I get there and back in a day? Probably, in some of the cases. Maybe not if it's Scotland, it's a bit far. But yeah, so that's what I've been doing. And I love my life, I really do, and I'm lucky. And like I say, I know that's hard for some people to understand when they hear my story, but I am lucky, and I've just had some incredible opportunities. I mean, it kind of, I thought about the other day, and I'll take stock of this on New Year, but the stuff that's happened since Ross died, when really everything should have been messed up. Do you know what I mean? Like on how people think it should be, like it should be messed up, everything, and actually loads of good stuff has happened. So, and I think that's probably just staying open to it and allowing the tears to come when they come, and when I'm happy, allowing myself to be happy as well. So yeah, I've covered a lot of stuff there. So that's who I am. And other facts about me: I hate mushrooms, I hate cream and milk, but I will have milk in a coffee because it needs it. But I would never just drink milk on its own from a cow. Well, I wouldn't drink any, it's disgusting. I love Law and Order Special Victims Unit. What else? I love 90s R&B. I'm obsessed with J-Lo, and I think in my head I am Jennifer Lopez. And you might not be able to see that, but in my head I'm Jennifer Lopez, so don't spoil the illusion. I'm also a mom of 2 girls, but you'll probably see that on the channel, and they're amazing, and I love them. And I probably say amazing too much, and I say like too much, and I swear I was gonna say too much, but is it too much? Who says it's too much? This has gone on way too long, but what are you gonna do? There you go. I've made up for messing up with Vlogmas Day 11, where I didn't upload it because I thought I'd uploaded it and I hadn't, and I've given you a whopping 1 for day 13. I hope you've enjoyed it, and pop your questions below or your locations where you would like me to head to next. Speak to you soon.